a guy named Timmy Gibson who says, "Why I'm no longer a Christian." Not necessarily trash, but an interesting perspective. Deconstructing Christians are so fascinating to me.
I'm asked all the time, why did you leave Christianity? Wow. I've done a longer version of this video. I've done a shorter version of this video, but I wanted to do even a shorter version of my answer to that question. Hey, my name's Timmy Gibson, former fundamental evangelical Pentecostal charismatic Bible thumping pastor.
Oof. By the way, it would be interesting to, like, do you think, maybe he talks about it in this, is there guilt for participating in this? Like, is that part of it? When you're high up in the church, do you have any guilt in your participation with teaching people stupid shit?
Also spent pretty much my whole life as a Christian. And before I just say a few things and shut this video down to be my shortest why I left Christianity video, I understand that the particular version of Christianity that I grew up under is a smaller group of the overall Christians. There are some of you who may be Christian, and you don't hold some of the nutty views that I held as an evangelical, right?
It's so interesting how everybody has this sort of not even innate, this learned reaction to religious people to sort of like handhold them on the topic and be like, well, I might not be talking about you. And I understand why, because they get really, really, really defensive, right? Obviously. And so, you want to try to be like, okay, this isn't about you, so they hear you out. But like, holy shit. It's emblematic of the fucking problem. Is just how fucking much of a panic they get set into when people are like, I don't know if I believe this. Why do you believe this? And they go, I don't know. It's weird.
Right? You weren't a gay hater. You weren't picketing Disney or telling people to no longer listen to rock music.
You weren't a gay hater or picketing Disney? Brother, I have terrible news. You don't have to be a religious guy anymore. You just have, it's sort of a religion. You just have to be a MAGA enjoyer, and then you'll be right in there. A lot of them claim to be Christian, but yeah.
You didn't ban Harry Potter. You didn't think that everybody else was going to hell. All the Hindus, the Muslims, the Jews, like everybody else is going to hell if they don't believe like you believe.
That's just, I know I don't know, maybe he doesn't know this. Maybe this is a psyop, but I feel like so many Christians believe all of these things you're saying. I had Christian friends who had the Harry Potter banned in their house, and like people freaked out when they like wore black and shit.
I realize that there are those of you out there, and kudos to you, okay? But specifically, the group that I'm talking about on my channel, it's the group that I came out of, and I feel uniquely qualified to talk about the group, really the cult that I was in, called the Evangelical Church.
I love calling it a cult after you've been out. That's beautiful. Fucking beautiful. This is how a lot of ex-religious people talk about it. They're like, it's a cult. It's a fucking cult.
We had the right interpretation. We had the right message of the Bible. We had the right interpretation of Scripture.
That is every Christian church I've ever been to.
As it was. That was the belief.
That's crazy. So he's saying, oh, this is probably very extreme. This is every fucking religion.
What we would call ourselves, what I would have called myself then is a literalist, meaning the Bible's literally true. Oof. There are no errors. In fact, when someone would say, no, there's errors, like I'd say, nope, those are just apparent errors, meaning I could do some backflips and some magic and make something that doesn't make sense make sense.
Yeah.
Right? So why did I leave Christianity? Why?
Yeah, that's interesting. So, like, understanding that you were doing backflips means that on some level you acknowledge that even at the time that's what you were doing, right?
After 50 years as a born-again, spirit-filled, tongue-talking, church going, tithing Christian, why would I walk away after all that time? I mean, this was my life.
Yeah.
You have to understand, this wasn't just a belief. It wasn't just my beliefs. This was my very identity. This was who I was. I was known as the pastor.
Yep.
And not only was this my identity, it was my career. My entire life and living came from the Christian church. So,
do any of us, and I'm sure a lot of my chat does, do any of us think it's strange how isolating Christianity can get for people by making their entire family, their entire well-being, their social network, community revolve around this? And if you don't like really adhere to it, you're sort of excommunicated from it? Anyone else find that strange?
to think that I would have walked away flippantly or because of some just silly little misunderstandings that are easily explained, that's just total BS. Like, don't listen to the nutballs that comment down below thinking that they would have any idea of why I left. Well, he was never really a Christian. That to me proves that that person's completely ignorant. One, they don't know me. Two, that's just something that ignorant Christian people say.
I agree. You get a lot of that new true Scotsman fallacy, and it's like, I mean, you just can't dismiss people that said, I actually believed this. I genuinely thought I was talking to God, and now I don't think that anymore. It takes a lot of Christians hearing a lot of people sometimes. Every single Christian works a little bit different, but I think if you just like really trust your logic and you're like, okay, if God is real, then this should be true about the world. What should be true about the world is that there should be evidence of this, right? We do not have that. Not from the biblical account at all. At best, you can put a God in the gap of knowledge we have, but there's nothing that points anywhere in our universe to a personal God or one with a personality or an anthropomorphic God. Or if a God exists, it's so beyond whatever a Christian has thought of. And it would be much less a god and more like a fucking Cthulhu situation. Like, oh, we found out that this creature that lives outside of time and space rubbed its ethereal belly on the universe's edge and it created the Big Bang. Like, that's the best you're looking for, is that there was some other cause to the Big Bang or something like that. There's no personal god involved. It's crazy. What's more likely, and what's very cool, by the way, we do have sort of an answer on this, is that we were talking about this the other day in chat, but like quantum mechanics and stuff, the just material reality, it just like the lack of stuff, stuff happens within the sort of like quantum space there. It's crazy. It's crazy. We're in a universe soup. It's nuts. Now the question is, of course, where's that come from? Who fucking knows? Who fucking knows?
May I have some of the drugs you're on?
Conjecture, but based on his decor, dress, tattoos, and mannerisms, this guy is still deep into religious thinking, or at least performative parts of spirituality. Maybe. It also, part of it also feels like just a reclamation of himself after not being able to be himself for a while. So I'm fine with. I mean, he's just expressing himself. We'll see. He has a Buddhism thing over here. We'll see what's happening. He's no longer a Christian, but is he an atheist?
So I'll tell you why I left Christianity. Or a couple of the reasons. One of the main reasons is I just came to realize that it wasn't true.
Thank you. That's
real. Mean, really, ultimately, bottom line,
yeah.
If you want the quick answer, that's the quick answer. The quick answer is it didn't hold up to scrutiny.
True.
I mean, I have eyes, I have ears.
Yep.
Like, I've been in this world for 50 years. And so I could clearly see that there was no difference in a believer's life than there was in a non-believer's life. There was no difference. Not just no difference in how blessed they were or how
blessed means financially, by the way, almost always.
Good their life was, or how the lack of bad that was happening in their life, or the how they lived. Like, I had 300 people in my church. Some of those people got in trouble, went to prison. Some were addicted to drugs and went to rehab centers. Some of those people lost children to cancer. Some of those people got divorced. Some of those people were addicted to porn. So, I mean, there was no distinct difference between believers, the believers that I knew, and then the unbelievers that I knew. There was no difference.
The difference is their political shit, by the way.
So for me, it was just, I just decided to be honest.
I love listening to people like Rhino who say, I'm assuming Vice Rhino, who say it's a small contradiction in a book that's supposed to be an inerrant being what got him and others out. Yeah, I mean, whatever it takes. People have told me all sorts of different reasons that they don't believe in God anymore. A lot of it is, so a lot of the anti-evolution stuff is because evolution is like so obviously true and compelling. So it's like, well, if that's true, then the creation story can't be true, and Noah's Ark isn't true, so what else isn't true, kind of domino thing. But like, I mean, I don't personally need evolution. I just need whatever the evidence shows. Like, you know, we could form life in a myriad of ways that aren't evolution conceptually, but like, just the claims in the Bible, just straight up, like, the big ones don't land, the little ones don't land. Like, it's obviously an ancient book with inaccuracies. Their numbers don't even add up. Even when they're doing like really hard science like math, they don't even have the reality. Because of course these guys are like making stuff up. They don't know the actual numbers of things. Telling you the populations of places, and it's like not even close to the archaeological truth of it. Or the census data we have elsewhere. It's crazy. Anyway, I'm loving this so far. We'll see.
And to ask myself, is it possible this isn't true?
Yeah.
Is it possible that this isn't true?
Of course it's possible.
And is it possible that maybe how I view Islam, or how I view Judaism, or how I view Hinduism at the time, how I view Buddhism.
Is he a Hindu now?
Or how I viewed any other religious group outside of my evangelical fundamental group, which was, they were deceived, they were lies, they were myth. Uh-huh. Well, what is it possible that I'm believing a myth? Like, is it possible that I'm of the wrong faith?
I can tell this actually was the like, he keeps repeating it because it was so clearly impactful to him, and I'm wondering if he is having a hard time like really getting out how impactful that was. But like, just being able to ask yourself, like, am I wrong? Is like so fucking powerful, and it's a skill that most people don't fucking have. My Christian middle school did religious history right after chapel, and it hit these notes. Wait, the Roman gods are fake, but ours aren't? Interesting.
And maybe the Hindus are right, or maybe I'm wrong and the Jews are right. Maybe I'm wrong.
Because once you're on the correct side of that question, it's so self-evident it hurts. It's like obvious, right? Like, clearly we do not live in a magical universe, you know?
And
we live in a fucking dope, like, material reality is magic enough if you really know about it. Truly. It's so genuinely crazy that we exist. Like, to understand an atom and what it is beyond comprehension almost. But we can comprehend. It's crazy. We're the universe observing itself, and we're doing a cool job, but like, we fuck it up because we're also apes.
Buddhism is right. Like, is it possible? Right? Now, I know what the Christians think. It's like, nope, we're the one true, this is the one true one. Which is so arrogant. And I was that guy. I was arrogant, bigoted, hateful, narrow-minded. I thought I had all the answers, man. I thought I had it all figured out. Everything was just black and white. There's heaven and there's hell.
Yeah.
Jesus is the Savior. Everything else is wrong. There is no other way to get to heaven except through Jesus. That's it. It's black.
He still thinks, sounds like he believes in heaven still, maybe?
Black and white.
I don't know.
I had it all figured out. And then there just came a time in my life where I was confronted with facts, and the facts conflicted with what I thought I knew.
Yeah.
And one of the big things was, as I was reading this book called Sapiens by Naval somebody. Anyway, it's called Sapiens. Look it up. And I'm reading this book about human history, and all of a sudden I come across, and this is going to shock some of you because I'm going to seem so like, you didn't know that? And I didn't. Again, I was raised to believe the earth is 6,000 years old, or at least less than 10,000 years old.
Yeah, man. Crazy, right?
That Adam and Eve were literally the first two humans that God created. Two white people.
He laughs. Two white people. Of course they're white.
Anyway, and I believe that was literally true. And so I'm reading about human history, and I'm reading about other species of humans, and I'm like, wait, what? There were other species of humans that have gone extinct?
Yeah.
What was God's plan and purpose for the Neanderthals? What was God's purpose for the Homo erectus? What was God's purpose for the Decentivans? What was God's purpose in these other species of humans that the Bible never talks about, and I've never heard about teaching in church? They've never talked about this. I never preached it. I didn't know anything about this.
Yeah, isn't it fascinating? It's so cool. Human history is so fucking interesting. Like, we literally crawled up out of the fucking mud and did all this. It's crazy. This guy reverse Russell Brand. Yeah, for every Russell Brand, we get one of these.
And I felt so ignorant, to be honest. I felt so ignorant. I thought, wait, is this true?
Man, okay. Hold on, though. This is beautiful. Is this true? I felt so ignorant. This is... Oh, man. That was not ignorance. This is just what it feels like to be curious for the first time. Like, really curious. Ooh. I'm so excited about that. That gets me real happy. Oh, man. I'm telling you. It's curiosity. Like, isn't it cool that we had other species of us? That is cool.
Like, is this true? That human species have been on the earth for some 200 to maybe 300, maybe even longer?
Yeah.
That the human species
likely,
have been on the earth? What? I thought we've only been around since Adam and Eve, about 6,000 years ago. How could we? Wait a minute. I'm so confused.
6,000 years ago, you get like the first civilizations. I mean, maybe even longer. You could make an argument for like 10-ish, depending on. It's probably not that. Civilization needs to have like, what is it, like a spoken language, a written language, like walls, and like I think organized religion was one of the things, but it's some kind of organizing principles, like a government that is like typically they add a writing so you can have proof of this, but like, you know, a real, yeah. Somewhere between 10 and 8. I mean, it really depends, but so amazing. Civilizations that fell, like human experiences, have gone in the gutter several times. 600 years ago. Yeah. 6,000 years ago. Well, we have older than 6,000-year-old writing. We just don't necessarily know what it says. Because I don't think we're ever going to. Yeah, cities aren't necessarily civilization, though. Like anthropologists would have a nitpick about it. A civilization is different than a society, or like a community.
And it just facts kept coming up and bumping up against my Christian faith, my belief.
Yep.
And I couldn't brush these things off.
Beautiful.
I couldn't go, well, that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true.
That's so beautiful.
I just could no longer ignore the truth of history.
I'm big proud of this guy.
Now, some people say, well, yeah, Timmy, of course. I'm a Christian, and I believe in evolution. I'm a Christian, and I believe in an ancient earth. I'm a Christian, and yeah, I know that Adam and Eve, that's not a true story. That's just an allegorical story. Of course, Noah didn't build an ark, Timmy. We know that. And I get it. I know that there are Christians that don't believe all the wing nuts.
I want to talk to this guy. I want to ask him so many questions. I'm so fascinated by this kind of stuff. Man. Oh, Ah, fuck, this is gutting. I left at 65. It has been the most devastating thing I've ever experienced. I really feel like the one life I'll ever get was straight up stolen from me. Damn, bro. It seems so simple in hindsight, but when you learn that bubble, you can't see how it is. Thank you for sharing your journey. I'm deconstructing my faith at 25 years, and your thoughts and questions echo my own. Thank you. Do you know how many fucking people still to this day thank me for this atheism stuff? It's so fucking hard for Christians to get out of this. And not just Christians, you know, everybody, but like obviously Christians in America. This is crazy. I'm very proud of this guy and proud of anybody who's come out of the faith. I mean, it's obviously tough. But like, holy fucking shit. We should be opposed to this. Like, not just, oh, come out. Like, we should be opposed to the religious endeavors of the churches. Like, we can't be free until this is over. For real.
Stuff that I believe, that evangelicals believe still to this day. I know they do. I just talked to one the other day that said that carbon dating is been debunked and that the earth is only 6,000 to 10,000 years old and dinosaurs and humans walked the earth together, which there's zero evidence of. There's zero evidence of that. Right? Like, and we know the earth is ancient. That's actually not something that we think anymore. And we know that evolution is a fact. Yep. You know, when Christians go, it's just a theory. Well, did you know that in science, a theory is not just some willy-nilly pull it out of your butthole. Like, this is what I think.
Your butthole.
No, it's all the facts, all the stuff that we know lead us to this theory of, it's evolution is a fact. We don't know all the specifics, but it's a fact. So as I began to realize, gosh, I've been believing a lie. Really, that is the reason I left Christianity, is I just was all of a sudden aware. Yeah. Wow, I've been believing a lie.
That's crazy, man.
This isn't true. It's not true as I was taught. And now, again, I can hear some of the more liberal Christians say, well, yeah, Timmy, of course that's not true. You know? But for me, when I started realizing those things weren't true, then it all just started unraveling. Because if that's not true,
right,
then what is true?
Right.
In the Bible? Like
what's true in general? And then you got to go looking for it, and then you find out, fuck, they don't really have a lot of truth.
What can we take as factual, man, historical?
This is
like
good.
what else is made up in there? And of course, you know, once I started going down that rabbit hole and realizing that the Bible was written some 60 years after the life of Jesus, and all the edits and the books that were in the Bible and then taken out and things that were added and all the shenanigans that went on in the putting together of God's word, I realized there's no way this is real. This is clearly a man-made religion. Yep. Clearly, this is a man-made book. Clearly, right?
It should be mandatory that we teach that religion is not true in school. It's your choice to fucking believe it. We shouldn't have any sort of funding or tax exemption for churches. It should be taught that it's not true, and we should just move the fuck on from it. If you want to have some cultural ties to whatever, you know, little festivals or whatever the fuck you do, I don't give a shit. I mean, I have Christmas still, I don't care. It's whatever. It's a consumer holiday anyway. We should not endorse this at all. Lying to kids, outlawed.
Misogynistic. Only men wrote the Bible. Yep. Only men decided what went in the Bible.
Now he's woke. Women. Isn't that so interesting? It's almost like Papa Jake is right about how all this religion makes you a right-wing freak. No matter what, you are further right than you would be if you are a Christian. No matter what.
Men were less than. Men were superior. Slavery was encouraged, or at least not condemned. I mean, on and on. I mean, incest was apparently okay.
Oh, yeah.
Polygamy, genocide, you know, whatever God did, it's just good. God can just kill everybody.
Teach me,
men,
Daddy.
women, children, and everybody. And like, he can get away with it. Like he's a homicide. It's like, what?
Homicidal. Not a murderous homosexual. That's chat.
Wait, he's a maniac. This is absolutely insane. And so as I began to just really dig, I just became really overwhelmed.
It's crazy that he had to dig after being an evangelical pastor, which tells you just how fucking little they even read that shit. Actually, reading it from start to finish really opened my eyes.
Really, I just became overwhelmed. And I did go through a phase of, I guess, almost like shock. And I was kind of ashamed, to be honest. There was this, I was ashamed that,
yeah,
man, I used to believe this. I dedicated my life to this. I preached this. And I'm wrong.
Yep.
I'm wrong about it all. Now, granted, I was sincere. There were things that
that makes it better. Actually being a sincere believer and just having been duped by the people that you trusted most that deliver this religion to you, be it your parents or grandparents or community or whatever, that's not 100% on the believer's fault. Your actions are, of course, going to be yours to bear, and the guilt you feel over whatever happens during this time, whether it's just being homophobic or whatever, or really delivering this to other people or being hateful. The best thing anyone can do is just live a life that they would live now. Just live your life. I don't need anyone to feel guilt over being a Christian. That fucking religion gives you enough goddamn guilt. And frankly, a lot of you guys probably feel the guilt because the religion tells you to feel guilty all the time. What I think needs to be done is not the feeling of guilt, but the admission of it's not real and everything, and you can acknowledge your guilt and everything and feel what you feel, but it's just about being a better person, and specifically being the person that you are now without all that tethered. And it looks like this guy's he's definitely expressing himself, that's for sure.
I've said this about other people. I was sincere, but clearly sincerely wrong.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that this message of hope through Jesus was the message. But then I'm going to give you the last piece. Again, this is the shorter version of my longer version of why I'm no longer a Christian. I also got to thinking to myself as I'm doing all my research, still kind of thinking maybe I'm a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And once I learned that human history goes back, way back, let's just say not 300,000, which it looks like it did. Let's just go back 100,000. Most everybody, the real scientists agree that human history goes back at least 100,000 years. So let's just be conservative and say 100,000 years. So you have 100,000 years of human history. The life expectancy was 30s. If you made it to 30s, you got lucky.
Yeah.
Most women would die in childbirth, or you would die from teeth infections. Things are terrible. It's a barbaric world. So for 98,000 years,
mm-hmm.
this God of the Bible just stands by while people are needlessly suffering and dying.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you're a evolution believing Christian, that's what you would have to believe. Yeah.
Go.
This man sounds like he got hitch slapped. Sometimes you get hitch slapped, posthumously hitch slapped. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good argument against evolution believing Christians. Not all of them believe in evolution, though, which is a sad truth.
And God is just, and after 98,000 years, God decides to say, you know what, maybe we should step in. Maybe we should do something here. That's just ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. And once I really started considering that, how there's just no way that this Bible God that I grew up believing in was real.
Yeah.
And again, there's so many other things that I could get into.
But have you considered DEI?
Finally, I had to let it go. I just had to let it go. It didn't
Proud of you,
make
brother.
sense. It clearly didn't reconcile with facts that we know about the world. And I'm really concerned that, not concerned in a bad way, but it's like I'm feeling like with more time and more science and more things that we come to understand, more and more people are going to be like myself and say, wait a minute, I don't think this is actually true. Like, I think this is actually a man-made construct.
And the right wing is weaponizing it to get people to believe a certain way, which should be alarming to people.
Maybe this isn't actually factually true. And that's what happened to me. That's why I'm no longer a Christian. I could no longer, what I thought I believed to be true didn't hold up to the facts that I was learning about life.
Yeah.
And about,
that's so cool,
history and about other things.
But you can tell that after he found out, he read so much, because it was like, I gotta know now. I gotta know what the world is like. It's so cool. I mean, man, the story of how we came to be and who we are and where we are is so much more interesting than the Bible. And I really, really mean that. And so, I mean, I respect any Christian that is willing to interrogate their faith, but most of them aren't. Most of them, even when I've talked to them and they've been like, "Oh yeah, I'll talk," they just freak out. They don't have the equipment for it, like in their brains. It takes a couple of years, and I'll get a little DM or a message and be like, "Oh yeah, we talked once, and you really helped me see that. Oh well, you said that thing about Noah's Ark, and I hadn't read it, and I looked into it, and you're right, there was." And I was like, "Well, what else was I wrong about in the Bible?" And then I read some of that, and I was like, "Well, that seems weird. The Levite and his concubine is pretty fucked up. It's good stuff."
That it no longer made sense. And it just became clear to me that it wasn't true. And I only want to believe what is true.
Yeah.
I don't want to believe in lies. I don't want to believe in fairy tales as factual. I don't want to give my life to something that is fake, false, make-believe. I want to give myself to the truth. That's what this whole channel is about, is sharing my journey out of evangelical Christianity. Like, subscribe, make comments, cuss and discuss. And I'll see you with the next video coming out this Sunday. Peace.
He puts them out on Sundays too. Yeah, that's Timmy Gibson. I liked that video. That was good. I'm happy for this guy. It's kind of a small channel, 10K. And he just makes these videos. Maybe I'll get into touch with him at some point, and we'll see about some kind of like chat, talk about this.